Okay, wow. So this is our first podcast, and somehow, some way, we already have a guest.
Holy
I know.
smokes.
It's
Yep.
insane.
So for anyone who this is their first time watching, this is Dragon versus Weeb. I am the Weeb. The guy to
I am the
my
dragon.
bottom left, Johnny over there, that's the dragon, and this
Well,
is our buddy Nate. He's Nate.
Nice.
This is our first podcast ever.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
yeah.
And we're here to stop each other from destroying gaming because no one in this room can be trusted. Yet we all want
Except
control.
for me. Except for me. You can trust me. Let's be honest.
Mm,
Like,
See, that's how
yeah.
you
I
know
think
you can't trust this
I
motherfucker.
think
You
I'm the
see,
most trustworthy person here.
that's
Mm,
exactly what you'd say if we couldn't trust you.
Well, let's be honest, okay? I have the best opinion
I don't
of the Game
agree.
Awards.
No.
Jesus
But
Christ.
we'll be talking about the Game Awards. Uh, so I personally think that we should start off with Game of the Year. I mean, that just seems like the biggest contender this year.
Are you sure you don't want to like work up to it, or do you want to just go from the bottom, or do you want to go top down?
No, we just start from it because we're
Let's
only
start
Okay.
with the
like
Game of
looking
the Year.
at the games. I kind of
Yeah.
want to start left to right because the reason our good old friend Nate, I'm Isaac, by the way, I didn't introduce myself. The reason our friend Nate is here is because those first two games, me and Johnny don't know jack shit about them.
True, true.
And we have an expert here. And my name is Johnny. Most people call me Johnny for short.
Yeah, Johnny is
Yeah.
I said
Johnny.
the same thing. I said the same thing, but it's spelled differently, so don't worry about it.
One day people will know your name.
One day people will know my name.
Definitely not after this podcast.
Definitely not, no.
All right.
But
Well, to be
yeah.
fair, I don't think any of us played Astrobot
I thought you played
because
Astrobot.
I did
So,
not play Astrobot. I've got a friend who played Astrobot who quite liked
really,
it, but I did
well,
not play
I
myself.
know a little bit about Astrobot. I watched a
Hmm.
review and gameplay of it.
Hmm.
It's essentially just Mario Sunshine, but in space.
I've heard it compared more to Mario Galaxy
Well,
because
the
like
reason I say Mario Sunshine is because it has a lot of water elements to it, at least from
it
what I
does, it
saw.
does.
So it's like Mario Galaxy and Mario Sunshine, and it looks like a really good game. I
It
think
it's
that it's a very like its art style is amazing. Its gameplay is very smooth. I mean, I don't think it deserves Game of the Year. I honestly don't think it
deserve is kind
deserves.
of a funny word, but
I
it
well,
is by all accounts an incredibly well crafted platformer.
it is a very good platform. I will agree, but I don't think that it's going to get Game of the Year. I don't think so.
I
I don't. That's just what I think. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's in like kind of like that top three. Like I think the top three in my mind are like Metaphor, FF7, and Astrobot. I could see any of those getting the game of the year because there is like a lot of like passion for Astrobot for sure,
Hey, tell
and
me
like a
about
lot of
tell me about Balatro. Actually, I'm much more
Oh my
curious
god.
about that.
Balatro
Oh my
is
god.
um dude, I have spent far too much time playing Balatro. It is like this poker roguelike. And poker by itself is like pretty fun, but like then you add all these jokers and all of a sudden like your runs will just get like so insane and unique every time. Like it really scratches the like part of your brain, like the part of your brain that just likes seeing big numbers on screen. Like it really does that like really well.
It's a
There's
poker roguelike?
it's a poker roguelike, yeah.
D-
Like
What the fuck are the poker elements? Like,
you draw a hand of playing cards and then you play like you can play a flush or like a full house for points. And
I
then different jokers will upgrade different hands in different ways and it gets quite fun quite quickly.
I am now. I'm on the strong opinion that I don't think a card game should be a contender for
I
Game of the Year. I I like you have games out here. You have Balatro standing next to the giant Elden Ring Shattered the Earth tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, and Black Myth Wukong. That
To be
seems
fair,
like a
I don't think
weird.
Balucho's like a favorite to win or anything, but I think everyone who's played it is like, oh yeah, like that's totally there. That's totally up there.
When you described
Are you
when you
talking
Like
like
scratched
Hades levels of good?
what levels are good?
Like Hades level of good?
Ooh, they're good in different ways. Um, Personally, I think I'd probably go Hades over Balatro. Just Hades has that extra like narrative component, and like it is just such a damn well
Okay.
written game.
So
Like,
Balatro doesn't have a narrative. Okay.
no, it is just play the cards, you get your points, and it is insanely fun in the process.
I when you said earlier, I'm gonna backtrack a bit. When you said that scratches that itch in your brain, I just immediately thought like, is it like card game? It's like TikTok card game. Like like you're scrolling through TikTok and you're like seeing things and it's scratching that itch in your brain,
The
And
TikTok card game is crazy.
that's what I'm getting from this is that you are playing TikTok Balatro, a card game.
I mean,
It's brain rot. That's what I'm
I
getting.
feel okay.
That's what
Honestly, I feel like calling it a bit of a brain rot game is not entirely unfair, but it is like definitely like the fun factor in that game is like so crazy. Like Balatro is like way more fun than pretty much any other game in this list.
Damn.
I no no
Dude,
no
Balatro
way.
is my most played game by a factor of like 1.5 to 2.
To be
No.
fair, it's a roguelike. You're supposed to play
It
it
is a
over and over.
roguelike. So there's a lot of like inherent replayability built in there. And there's like a staggering amount of content in that game. Like
So
you would
like
be fucking blown away by how much content there is.
there, I feel like mild amounts of cap in what you're saying. Very mild, very mild.
Okay.
Because
How so?
just because the reason I asked for that Hades comparison,
Hmm.
um, just to like get an idea, because like I think like Hades is probably better than like most games, like
Oh, for
good
sure.
like
I
90% of
Hades
games.
is one of my favorites.
That's why I wanted to ask if it's like up there since it's like also a roguelike, and in that
Hmm.
case within like the same genre, which then has like the same levels of replayability and
I
like
think Balatro does the roguelike thing better, but like unfortunately, like Hades just has like like I said, the narrative component is so good that like I think it puts it over Balatro.
Hades is also an actual game, so
Okay, they're both actual games, you prick.
if I wanted to play Balatro,
Yeah.
I just go find someone else and then play a card game.
I would buy the game for you, and then you will regret
No,
your
don't
words.
buy me the game. I don't play card games. But let's move on to honestly,
Black Myth.
I'm playing Black Myth Wukong right now,
Yeah. What chapter are you
and
in, by the way?
I am in chapter 3.
Chapter
And I
three
will
still.
say
Okay.
that the first chapter I cleared
wait,
within
wait, wait.
like
Before you
two
go any
hours.
further, let's just all clear up where we are in Wukong.
Hmm.
Because I have beaten Wukong. I'm actually on my second playthrough. Um, Nate, you're the second farthest, in which you're in
I'm at
chapter
the
5.
tail end of chapter 5.
Oh, the
Like I've
very
done
end.
every. Yeah, I've done everything except fight the chapter 5 boss because there's like some stuff you have to clear up in chapter 4 before you progress that far. So I haven't done this clean. I need to clean up stuff in chapter 4.
Um,
So I'm
and
kind of waiting to take on that last boss.
and Johnny, you're in chapter 3. You're like midway through chapter 3, right? You got like
I'm about like
spoilers for Black
maybe
Myth Wukong, by the way. Uh,
Yeah. You fought the lightning lady on the turtle, right?
yeah, so I just fought the lightning lady and I fought the boss next to it.
Hmm.
I now first impressions of the game is actually very easy. For me at least. The first chapter I cleared within like what, like 2 hours ish. I died like maybe two, three times, and I cleared most of the bosses on my first try. Except for that first boss. I hated that boss.
The
The
Withering
baby
White,
head
the big
man.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, the baby head man. I was getting a little angry. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is a bad game. It does have a lot of challenges to it. I think that the reason why it's easy is because if you compare, let's compare it to another Dark Souls. Well, let's compare it to Dark Souls. A Souls like you use
Wait.
Dark
Hold.
Souls. You
First,
mentioned
first, we have to establish that yes, this is a fucking Souls like.
yes, this
Yeah.
is
I'm kind of straight up tired of when motherfuckers like I don't know what they're sniffing when they say that Wukong is not a Wukong is not a Souls like.
it is a Souls like. It is a
I think
Souls
it
like.
doesn't look
But
like a
like
Souls
what
like. I don't
what
think you realize how much of a Souls like it is until you actually play it.
the looking at a Souls like is completely different from playing as a Souls like because
Yeah. No, it totally
the game
does. It
well like
totally
what I
does.
was saying was is that the game has the com, so what I want to say is that Black Myth Wukong has a lot of options, and Dark Souls does as well. But the problem with Dark Souls versus Wukong is that Dark Souls focuses mainly on you focusing on one specific build. If you want to go magic, you build magic, and then you have a lot of utility. But if you want to use melee or strength, you have to build strength into it. But with Black Myth Wukong, there's not really a stat system. It's mainly upgrades, which you just get by playing the game. And as you progress, you get a lot of options to your kit, and you can use everything in the kit. You're not limited like Dark Souls, where like every boss feels like exactly the same. Like I just when I was playing Elden Ring, for instance, I would just play magic and I would use my Kamehameha beam and then blast the boss into half HP and then dodge once and then repeat. Um,
I think that's like a good point. Like the power level of like your average character in Black Myth Wukong is like way stronger. Just because they love like handing you like all these like super strong spells, and like you don't need to build around them whatsoever to like access them. Like you just like have them, and you can still beat their ass with your weapon.
So, doing my second playthrough of Wukong, one thing I've noticed is that builds aren't really a thing in your first playthrough.
Hmm.
Um, they exist obviously, especially once you get to the village that you haven't gone to, Johnny. There's a village where you can upgrade your past armor sets, and the the upgrade to your armor sets like straight up changes the way they look and gives them new effects. And that's like all sitting either at the end of the game or New Game Plus. And there's for example, there's like an armor set that you just can't make in your first playthrough. The game just doesn't give you enough materials to make it, so you have to make it in your second playthrough. And that armor set is like one of the most busted armor sets in the game.
mhm.
But even from that, so like I was playing a rock solid build, because the second playthrough of the game is hilariously easier than your first playthrough. Like I just got done beating the secret boss of chapter 6, and
Oh, so you're like deep in that second playthrough.
yeah, like the only reason I didn't beat the game is because I think there's DLC coming, and I'm pretty convinced they're gonna announce DLC at the Game Awards, if not a little bit after. So my so like man, I'm losing my train of thought. So I get to my second playthrough, and like the builds that you have are like incredibly strong. They're ridiculously strong. There's so many ways to shred bosses. It's kind of insane. You want to do lightning, you can shred that motherfucker with lightning. Want to freaking have unlimited what's that? Not stamina, focus. You want to have unlimited focus. Do the rock solid build. You block them once with rock solid. You basically have unlimited focus, and you just shred bosses in so many ways, and it's kind of ridiculous that you don't get in your first playthrough, which is kind of my one of my major gripes with the game is that first playthrough is it could be way more interesting because like armor the armor system they take from God of War, at least it feels the most from God of War. I don't know about you guys.
No,
Um,
I agree.
like
God of
outside,
War feels like the closest comparison.
yeah, like outside of like the level system in God of War, which Wukong doesn't have, thank God. Uh, the the armors don't feel good when you use them like most of the time. Uh like the rock solid one I'm using like only like felt good after the second playthrough. And even then I
Mm.
had to be like aware of how this shit worked.
Yeah, so like a lot of the armor sets don't really do enough in the first playthrough to really like feel that difference.
Yeah, especially like that one you get from like the white skin noble or something. That one is like fucking trash until your second playthrough.
Right. So I also want to say one more thing before we move on to Elden Ring is everybody has like their own play style in the game. I don't know about Nate, but for
Mhm.
me, I'm a counter guy. I love countering. Uh,
Boy,
and you get that
did you
like
play the wrong fucking game? Sorry, keep going.
well, it's hilarious because I also want to say is that this game allows you to use any mechanic towards the boss. And the first like was like the first like 10-15 minutes of the game, you get ability to where you can petrify someone or freeze them.
That
And
freeze
yes,
spell
that
is
works
so
on
broken.
bosses. That straight up works on bosses. And I
Mm,
think that's an amazing thing that they added to Black Myth Wukong because in Dark Souls, you could get a lot of stuff in that game and it's not accessible to be used on bosses because they are designed to be really fucking hard. But
yeah,
I think that if Black Myth Wukong wins Game of the Year, I would not be surprised. I
I
I would
I
not be
don't think it's
surprised.
going to.
I think the chances are high, but I'll say it right now. I think this game's overrated. Like,
I think it's probably going to win like Player's Choice. I could totally see it winning Player's Choice. I don't think it's going to win the proper Game of the Year.
yeah, like I have so many like problems with this game. I know you got problems with this game,
Mhm.
Nate. Fuck, I can hear you
Mhm.
bitching about those invisible walls from my house.
Ugh.
But
The amount of invisible walls in that game is just so silly, and it just fucking like kills your sense of exploration. Like there is nothing that just like fucking pisses you off more is you think you find some nice little secret cranny and you're like, "Oh boy, I can't wait to find some secret." And then you're like, "Nope, secret wall, invisible wall. Fuck you. I hope you feel bad for feeling hope." It's like fucking
That's
disgusting.
hilarious. I don't have a problem with invisible walls, but that's just because
It's
I want to run forward and kill everything type of guy. I don't really care
yeah.
if anything stands in my way. It's gonna get whacked by a
I
fucking
love
staff.
I love
But
exploring that shit. It gets better after like the first two chapters. Like I don't think chapter 3 or chapter 4 are as bad, or chapter 5 even is as bad as like those first two chapters for invisible walls. But like man, like those first two chapters just really just they kind of pissed me off just because the amount of invisible walls was really just
I think
frustrating.
if they made that many invisible walls, I think it was on purpose, just because they want you to get
Mm.
understand how to play the game. They want you to just get from
The
point A
thing
to
is,
point B.
like, I
But
wouldn't have
I
been
think
annoyed if it was just an actual wall. They could have just as easily put an actual wall there.
in the middle of
Like,
the forest.
yeah, well, not necessarily in the middle of the forest, but like you could have put like a little creek or a little cliff or like all sorts of shit you could have
but
done, or a
yeah, I
little
mean
rock wall or a cliff face. But like, there's one spot in like chapter 3 that was like especially egregious because like there's a wall and then there's a door, and then if you can go up to the door and you see through it and there's a room on the other side, if you try to walk through that doorway, like that open doorway, you get invisible walled off. It's like, what was the point of that? Like, you could have just like filled in the wall instead of having that clear doorway to like try to communicate to the player that you can walk in there. It was just like, what is the point of that?
Like, so like I kind of agree with Johnny. I only have like minor thoughts about the invisible walls. I think
Mm-hmm.
like my greatest problem with Black Myth Wukong is how the magic system works. Uh, because like the magic in the game is like so hilariously strong. It just like
Mm-hmm.
invalidates like certain fights.
Oh yeah.
Like those tall red motherfuckers in the Pagoda realm. If you like blow your whole load trying to kill them, they can't even fight back. It's not even fair. Uh,
It really trivializes like a lot of the boss fights from like chapter 3 and chapter 4.
but like at the same time, I really don't like it because it discourages me from using it outside of boss fights.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, most of the time in the game, every encounter, because you don't have projectiles either. Like somehow, some way, like this is like one of the strongest and the shittiest kits I've ever seen in my life, in
Uh-huh.
which you can destroy any motherfucker you come across if you really want to use everything, like with minimal effort. But if a guy is like sitting on a roof shooting arrows at you, holy shit, you're fucked, bro. Like, you're fucked. I don't care if you could turn into a giant kaiju and throw rocks. That motherfucker with arrows will ruin your next 3 hours of you trying to figure out how to get past him. And no, cloud step does not count.
Oh, there are definitely some like really weirdly placed ranged enemies that you just cannot access
No,
like
you can
at
get
all.
so you can get to them. You can. It's a long ass way around, but you can get to them.
And there is one guy in chapter 2 where it's like the only way you could get to him was by running past him and then getting to a cliff on top of him and jumping down from the cliff. But that was like 5 minutes of traversal to get to this one guy.
Look, actually, so look, if I had like projectiles in this game, I would not fucking despise the Pagoda Realm like I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I believe all three of us have been to the Pagoda Realm, right?
Yeah,
No,
Is
John,
I've been
yeah,
there.
Johnny, because he.
yeah. I have very strong opinions about that place.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel like I had a
I
less miserable time than you two did.
no, I want to say this, okay?
It's the one place with no
No,
fucking invisible walls.
no.
It's true, true. No invisible
I want to say something. I
walls.
want to say something. I have a very strong opinion about the Pagoda Realm, mainly
Mhm.
because I have had a lot of games. I played a lot of games where I just say I want to be done with this. Persona 3 is an example where I was near the end, where I just said I want to be done with this. Please end, please end, please end, please end, please end. And I was about maybe
Floor
5.
245. You're like, I think I'm done with this shit. I think I'm done
Yeah,
with this shit.
I think I'm done with it. So I want to say something about the Pagoda Realm. The person who created the Pagoda Realm is probably the same person that made the Poison Swamp in Elden Ring. And I don't mean, and not even just that. They also were the one that pitched the idea to make the Poison Lake. They I have
Miyazaki
some
just
opinions
has
on
his
that.
one
Yep.
Chinese friend that he
Yeah.
lets in the office every week. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, he
Just to make your
whoever
experience specifically worse.
whoever thought of that, it is the most abysmal experience I've had in that game so far. I think it's honestly top 3 in terms of abysmal experiences. I still think Persona 3 was at the top, but for me wanting to get it finished, which is hilarious. I think Persona 3 was a phenomenal game. That's beside the point. Um, but like, let's get some final thoughts before we move to Elden Ring, because I haven't played Elden Ring and I want to know you guys. Well, I haven't played the DLC. So, what are
Yeah.
you guys' final thoughts on Black Myth Wukong?
I think.
Good game, not amazing. I think it's kind of like too many of those bosses get like trivialized by like how strong the magic is, and I feel like there's a lot of cool secrets in that game, but the set it kind of like fucks with your sense of exploration, just like the way the levels are designed and like the placement of some of those invisible walls feels like so arbitrary.
I think Wukong is one of the most aggressive 8 out of 10s I've ever played in my life. Uh,
I can
like,
agree with that.
yeah, because I'm like, there are parts of that game that are beyond excellent, and then like I'll be like running through like a dungeon with like, let's say like half resource, not even out. I'm just like at half resources, and I'm like, man, I've been mashing square for like the past like 2.5 hours, just not even thinking. And
Yeah, it's a studio with a ton of potential. Like they have so many cool designs, but like there's just a few things that hold it back.
legitimately, I think if they make a sequel to this game, it'll probably be one of the greatest games of all time. But this ain't it.
I
That's fair.
It's a
So,
studio with a ton of potential for sure.
yeah, I think I would agree. This as a solid 8 out of 10. It's probably the best 8 out of 10 game you're ever gonna play. But I feel like if they added a few more things, like if they added a parry system, it would be a 9 out of 10. But
They've got that
let's
sort of
go
parry
let's
system
go
with like
along
the
with Elden Ring.
yeah.
And I'm just gonna say I haven't played the Elden Ring DLC. I'm okay with spoilers because I'm probably
Mhm.
not gonna get to it in a fat minute. But I did play Elden Ring before the DLC came out, and I would say that it is probably one of the best Souls-like games I've ever played in my entire life.
okay.
It's way
Be-
better than Black.
Before we even talk about this game itself, we have to address the hilariously
The
rainbow-colored elephant
DLC.
in the room. Um, a rainbow color with like chocolate chip sprinklings on it.
Hmm.
Just to talk about how much this elephant stands out. Why the fuck is this DLC here?
They did the rule change. Well, was I don't know if it was a proper rule change or if they just reworded it,
And
but
this is like
like
the
they
equivalent of.
It's like if Monster Hunter Iceborne was on here.
well, Monster Hunter Iceborne would have been honestly probably would have deserved the hype. Not that this DLC doesn't, but like it's a weird fit for sure. It's a weird precedent to set.
Yeah, I heard a lot of mixed feelings about it, not only from the DLC itself, but also the fact that it's on here. But I have been told that it's basically an entirely another game, kind of like Monster Hunter
Yeah, they put a
Iceborne.
video game in
It's
your video
it's
game.
fucking massive. It is.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like there should be like a size to like a DLC that makes it like worthy of being on like Game of the Year.
It would
I
make
don't
more
know. I
sense.
don't know.
It would make more sense if this game was a standalone, or this
Yeah.
DLC
If
was
it
a
was a
stand.
standalone game.
Yeah, if it was a standalone like DLC, like oh you don't need to own Elden Ring, just buy Shadow of the Erdtree, I would probably give it less shit. But the fact that you have to beat Moog to access this motherfucker.
You got to
Uh,
be deep into Elden Ring.
well, depending on you can probably get to Moog in like 40
Yeah.
minutes from your
Well,
playthrough if you're
that's if
insane.
you know the Vari quest,
Yeah.
right? Like, but that's not something your average player is going to know about without playing
Yeah,
beforehand.
the first
right?
playthrough now, unless they're a fucking psychopath. But no, you have to beat Moog to get to this DLC. Like straight up, he just has to be dead. It's not even like near him. It's in his fucking boss arena. So this thing's pretty deep in there, and it's basically, by all accounts, a sequel to itself. Okay, so
It's both like a sequel in scope, but also like I really would have preferred if it was actually a sequel because it does some like kind of weird things to the lore for by like not being a sequel.
like I don't know how I feel about Elden Ring anymore because I think my opinion of Elden Ring keeps bouncing back and forth between I kind of like Elden Ring, I fucking hate Elden Ring, I kind of like Elden Ring, I fucking hate Elden Ring. Let's just get this straight up. Elden Ring, like even now, is way better than Wukong. Like just straight up, it's not even close.
I'd agree with that for sure.
So like the DLC, like I know you said you were okay with spoilers. I'm gonna try to minimize spoilers
Oof.
for Johnny, so I will minimize them. But like the DLC, like I think it has some of the biggest highs and the biggest lows that FromSoft has ever made.
Some of the biggest highs for sure, and there are some like kind of weird aspects to it that kind of hold it back. But like I personally love this DLC. I was in love with it. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I think like my main problem with like the DLC itself is one like certain enemy balancing or a certain particular enemy.
Are you thinking of the
Is it the
Promised
final
Consort
boss?
or
yeah, just
yeah?
never again. It took me 3 days to beat that son of a bitch.
He was a fucking he was tough. He was tough. Took me like over 40 attempts to get him.
But like what is it? The madness section, what's it? Mindra's Mans?
Oh. The
Everything
what's
about
it
that
called?
is the greatest thing FromSoft has ever made.
The mansion itself is fantastic. The sort of like woodland around it, I kind of despise,
You didn't like
especially
the
on
stealth
repeat playthroughs.
gameplay?
No, I don't like.
Oh god,
It was kind of hyped the first time,
stealth.
but on the repeat playthrough, fuck no.
Look,
I haven't
Fuck
done it
no.
the second time yet.
Look.
But
But
that
you already told me about stealth, and I
no,
played
it's pretty
Assassin's
good
Creed.
though. It's pretty good though.
I played
like
enough Assassin's Creed.
I don't
Mandatory
think
stealth
that
to hate
is.
it.
I don't think that's Elden Ring's strength, and I think that whole section, especially on like the follow-up playthrough, is just incredibly tedious and like way too big for its own good.
honestly, like look, the reason I love it is because I
Mhm.
think like games like Bloodborne really revealed to me that these games work great with fear. All right, like,
Totally.
and that's why I like that entire section. Because if we're being honest, Midra's Man's is not a dungeon. That's a fucking complete like portion of the entire fucking map. Like, it doesn't start when you enter the mansion. It starts when you when you're on Torrent
You
and
enter
Torrent is
that,
like, you
like-
know what? Nah, fuck this. I ain't doing this shit. I'm like, what? Fuck you mean you ain't doing this shit? We fought dragons, gods.
Yeah.
What's
No,
here?
the fact
What the
that
fuck
area
is here?
that area is fucking massive though, and you have to go through that whole area without torrent, and that is such a drag on the pacing. I kind of like that
Wait,
they're
my
willing
horse
to
boy's not
experiment.
there?
Yeah, no horse boy for that
Oh,
section.
man.
No horse. In fact, if you try to call the horse says "fuck you." I'm not doing it.
Is he that scared?
He's that
Mhm.
scared, and I'm like, that's amazing. That's the hypest shit ever. I'm like, what the fuck is out in this bitch? Like,
We fought dragons. We fought
gods.
probably gods.
No,
We fought-
definitely gods.
we
No,
fought-
probably
We fought the
about
strongest.
it.
We fought the
Like-
strongest warriors in the land. We fought dragons. We fought gods. What the fuck is in this forest that said
No.
you're on your own, motherfucker? What?
The first time I read that message, I was like, "Oh my fucking god, what is in here?"
What is in this fucking forest? So obviously, like,
Hmm. I think that like sort of bit works really well on your first time.
yeah, that
I
general.
I ended up feeling a little let down by the reveal of what's actually in there.
So that's like one of my general problems with Elden Ring, is that Elden Ring becomes like a way less interesting game, not interesting, fantastical game on the second playthrough. Because the entire map becomes annoying on the second playthrough.
Yeah.
The entire
I get what you're saying.
because I'm like, look, I am a Moonvale Rivers of Blood son of a bitch. All right. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about anything. Where are these two katanas?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Rivers of Blood is in, was it Mountaintops of the Giants or some shit, is over there. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch.
It is mountaintops, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in
Because you gotta get invaded by that guy.
Yeah, you gotta get invaded, then beat his ass, and then you take his swords. And like the fact that you have to get that far to get that weapon, I'm like, oh my god. Like on a repeat playthrough, that's probably like 4 to 6 hours if you know what you're doing. But it's just annoying. That's my problem with Elden Ring. Like the map becomes annoying. So like if you go through Midra's Man's twice, because I did play the DLC twice, I beat that final boss, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm never touching this shit again.
He is a fucking doozy. He is a fucking doozy.
I killed everything in that DLC just so I don't have to come back here.
So I want to know is like, in terms of like difficulty for the DLC, would you say that the like Elden Ring without the DLC is harder, or the DLC is harder than the actual game?
The DLC is tougher, without question, in my mind.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna contest you a little bit on that, because I think the reason you're saying that is because we're both thinking of the end of the DLC. In which
Even the beginning's tough. Like there's some enemies that will fuck you up in those first two areas.
yeah, but like the recommended path kind of completely augments that difficulty. Like if you go to like Insis first, yeah, you're gonna get fucked. But you should.
Oh, Castle Ensis?
Yeah, Castle
Is that the
Ensis.
one? Is that the one with Rolana?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to
Yeah,
that one first, you're gonna get fucked. If you go
Yeah, for
directly across the street, directly
The
across,
Dancing Lion.
yeah,
and,
the dancing lion, you're fine.
Belarus? Is that the right? Is
Yeah,
that the name?
Belarus. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If you go to Belarus first, you're fine. You're fine. The
That even
difficulty
like
scale is
because
fine.
I kind of did that like sort of recommended path, and even that I found was like tougher than base Elden Ring.
I don't know. Well, then again, I'm I have no shame about how I defeat my bosses. You know,
Yeah,
I
I,
walk
was,
in.
I was
I've
pretty
seen you play
shameless that
Monster Hunter.
first
I've
playthrough.
I
seen you
walk
play
in
Monster
with
Hunter.
my 2 katanas, my mimic tier,
Yeah.
the summon sign that was by the boss room. Oh, there's another summon sign by the boss room. So there's 4 of us jumping this bitch. Nah. Elden Ring is the most cheating game that will ever cheat you in your face. So you better not fight fair. And I think you're an idiot if you fight fair in fucking Elden Ring.
So I want to just say I've seen you play Monster Hunter, and I'm gonna just
I don't give a fuck.
just,
I'll fight Fatalis for that
I'm
goddamn
gonna
bug
let me
every
speak.
day of the
Let me
week.
speak. To the audience that's listening,
The
Monster
fucking
Hunter-
bug
no, let me
main
speak, let me
insect
speak.
glaive player.
Let me speak. To the audience that's listening, if you've never played Monster Hunter, there's this thing called the Insect Glaive. And what it does is that you fly through the air and slice the monster on its back, and you can stay on the air for a long time. Now, there's also this bug that you have that gives you certain buffs based on the area that you hit it in. But there's also something called the bug build. So instead of you actually using your weapon, you stare at the boss and spam the Y key, I believe, and then you just hit the boss multiple times with the bug and break every single part of its body because it's scared of insects.
A win's a win.
I'm over here.
Dude, like
I'm over here
the
tanking
bug
the
insect
boss.
glaive has to be like the least, like the most safe, like lowest DPS playstyle available in that game.
I am busting my ass off using my
It can stun the
dual
monster
blades.
too, by the way. It can knock out
Yes.
monsters too.
I am over here
Of
busting
course
my
it has
ass
knockout
off,
damage.
trying
Of course
not
it
to
does.
die as I play my dual blades, trying to dodge out of the way from all these attacks. And you have Isaac over here sipping on a pina colada, just spamming Y with his controller in one hand, and then he's just chilling, taking in the sun.
I do open my
Regard-
windows. It's pretty nice.
Oh my god.
You're part of this toxic culture of gamers trying to gatekeep my W's, all right?
I'm
Look,
not
just
gatekeeping.
because you
No, I am
grinded
not
for
gatekeeping.
1,000 hours to fight like a fucking moron
I want to
when
say
you can
something.
have
I
a
am not
servant
gatekeeping.
whoop someone's
I
ass
don't
for
want-
you.
I will say this. I am not trying to gatekeep people from playing that playstyle, but don't sit there and tell me that you're like, that was easy. Of course it was
Can
easy.
you
You're
have
playing
do you
the
have
game.
proof that it was not easy?
You're spamming one button.
I just got a
You're
bit of a
not
point there.
dodging. You're not doing
Why are
what
you doing
can.
it the hard way, dog?
Because I'm playing the game I paid for. If I wanted to,
So am I.
At that point, you might as well just play a card game like Balatro because that seems like more.
Oh, that's a cheap shot. Don't you even go there. Ballatro's too hardcore for you, Bart.
You and I both know that Balatro does not belong on Game of the Year.
Oh, you are
Come
full
on.
of it. Oh, you're full of it.
Anyway, let's get some closing thoughts and move to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
I hope Ballatro wins.
You shut up. You shut up. Now, what do you guys think about Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth? Do you think that it deserves Game of the Year, or
Again?
do you think that?
You're asking us, does it deserve Game of the Year again?
I mean,
Because
Elden
if you
Ring
want me to
deserves
say it deserves Game of the Year, yeah, because it won Game of the Year last.
I don't think
Do
the
I think
DLC
it
should
deserves
win.
it again?
I think it's a really weird precedent to set for this previous Game of the Year winner to win it again with their DLC.
I'm
Now-
like, Elden Ring would have to give me a back massage for me to say that it deserves Game of the Year again.
Miyazaki just releases a DLC for Elden Ring every year and wins Game of the Year every year.
That would be the genius play. I wouldn't even be
Miyazaki-
mad.
Miyazaki.
I mean, if I get a yearly DLC for Elden Ring, I'll take it.
I mean, if he did that shit, Elden Ring would actually be the greatest game of all time. Because I'm like, how could you? You can't compete against that.
I want to say something. Miyazaki is the greatest treasure ever to come for like.
Nah, fuck that guy.
No. Let me say something. He is an amazing treasure. Okay, But I want to say something about the Poison Lake and the Poison Swamp and poison in general. I don't know what he's doing, but for some reason, it just turns him on like no other when he just sees a giant lake that you can't stand in. Because if you stand in it, you just die. And then you put a giant monster in the middle, and you're like, "Eh,
He just can't help but
that's
jerk himself off to it.
he just can't
He goes to
he
the
just
mud
can't help
wrestling
it."
things, and then
He's like
he's like, you know what? Make these
he's
girls
like a crack
sexy
addict.
if they were covered in poison.
He's like a crack addict. He can't help himself when there's crack in the room, and he definitely can't help it when he can make it.
Dude, dude, I cannot think of a Miyazaki-led game that doesn't have a poison swamp. Like, you'd have to go back to like 2008 to find one.
Anyway, let's move on from Elden Ring to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I know nothing about Final Fantasy VII. I have somewhat played the original, like the old one from like what is it, like early 2000, early 90s, like a little bit as a kid. I am on my first playthrough Final Fantasy VII. I forgot what the remake is called. Oh, it's just remake. Okay.
Yeah, just
So
remake.
I'm about like, what would you say, Isaac? Like about half-ish way, maybe a third?
You are before Wall Market, so you're probably like a third ish of the way through
So
that
I'm
game.
about a third-ish, and I I I I want to say something not from me, but for all the Final Fantasy VII lovers. Um, I'm very sorry if any of these opinions may seem a little
Don't you fucking
harsh.
apologize to them.
Um, I think that Final Fantasy VII is an amazing game, but there's obviously a lot of stupid shit in that game that doesn't get explained. Uh,
Okay, first off, you have not beaten that game, all right? You have not
I
beaten
have
any version of that game.
I have not beaten the game.
You have not
but
beaten any
there's a
version
lot
of that
shit
game to say
in
that there's
that
stupid
game.
shit that doesn't get explained. You're like,
Now,
I made it to chapter 3, and they didn't explain shit. How many chapters are in that? Like 12.
well, then
I don't know what the
I'm
fuck to
doing.
say. I guess
The
you're
fuck is
fucking stupid.
Mako?
I don't
Dude,
get it.
I'm like 5 minutes in this game and I don't know what's happening yet.
What the fuck is Mako? Is Mako just like an energy source that's
God
like
damn
from
it!
the Earth? Like why are people okay if Mako is draining the Earth? Like there's literally like plants are dying around them.
I don't know. Are you okay with
About it?
fossil fuels, you son of a bitch?
That's
Turn
different.
on
No,
your
no,
fucking
he
lights.
got you there. Like,
No, it's different. First, it's different because you can't see the effects of fossil
oh,
fuels.
you can't see the effects
Oh,
right
okay.
in front of you, so it's totally different.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Well, I mean, there's
Out of
global
sight, out of
warming.
mind, right?
There's global warming, but I'm in an AC room, so it doesn't affect me.
You are
Dumb motherfucker.
you are so full of it. Holy shit.
Okay, jackass who's gonna talk about a plot he doesn't understand. All right, let me, because I'm apparently the only motherfucker here who plays these goddamn games. Okay.
I don't have a PS5. Tell Sony to put them on Steam.
Yeah, tell Sony to put it on Steam and we'll play it. Other than that, like, I'm not buying a PS5.
I'd say probably give it about another year. That's what I expect.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, they put they put Integrate on, but not the remake.
well, no, Integrate is just the DLC. The game comes with the full game
Gotcha.
comes with Integrate.
Okay.
It's probably gonna take them a year because since Square Enix has said they're aggressively pursuing PC, it took 16 about a year, so it's probably gonna take Rebirth about a year. So Rebirth, I have nothing but good things to say about it. So, Nate, have you played Remake?
I have not.
You have not. Okay, Johnny,
I
you
have not.
have.
I haven't been able to play it just yet.
Okay.
I am playing it, and I do like the characters a lot. I want to say Cloud he's funny but also cool at the same time. Just the way that he reacts to certain things. Because I watched the abridged as well from what do they call Team 4-Star?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, from Team 4-Star.
Actually, how familiar are you with the original, Nate?
I kind of know the basic plot beats, but not that familiar.
Okay. Sorry,
I
keep
kind of
going,
know
Johnny.
the overarching structure,
So
but I never played it
so
myself.
when you because I watched the abridged version before I played the game, and like as you play the game, you're kind of like that's why I was saying like the plot kind of doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes because like it's like they're asking right questions in the abridged, and I'm just like, why the fuck, like why is action A causing action B or action A causing effect B when it's just like I don't know, it could have been solved with just like a small talk or something. And I hate the trope of like not saying anything when you see something. It's kind of weird. Um, I would say that the game is very good. The gameplay feels very, very good. I believe there's also a turn-based mechanic to it that you could turn on, if that's what I believe.
Um,
I
Is
is
in
there
the remake?
in the
yeah,
remake?
yeah.
I
There's
think you
like
can turn it
something
on.
called like a turn-based mode. I never experimented with
Yeah.
it, which is funny because the
Uh,
Uh,
original is like
it's all
kind of
turn-based.
turn-based. It's
the
time-based, really, but
Yeah.
the original is turn-based. It's just based on like speed and stuff like
no, it's
that.
based on
But
like actual time. Like you have to be
Yeah,
quick with
you've got
your
like a timer. You've got
yeah,
a timer to take your
mm,
turn
yeah.
in.
If you sit there
so
doing nothing, the enemy will just keep taking turns.
so I want to say that the combat is very good. I like hack and slash games, and that one definitely feels like kind of like a hack and slash. Uh, I love just the whole like upgrade system, and I believe that they didn't really change much with the upgrade system since the original, which I think is phenomenal. And the fact that the game was ahead of its time in terms of like the upgrade system is amazing. If this game wins game of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. Or it's it's not really a game, it's more like an extension of a game. But I think that this
What,
if it wins,
Rebirth?
isn't Rebirth just like this like the third part of Final Fantasy VII?
It's the second part
Is it the second part? Is it a
because they're
three part or a two part?
integrates its own thing, but they're also
So
like doing. They're kind of like going off the Final Fantasy VII script pretty majorly, from
Well,
what I
yeah,
understand.
it's Final Fantasy VII.
okay, I have all this information in my head that I'm just
Okay.
keeping to myself about the plot. All right. So I'm not even sure if I should discuss it with you, Johnny, because you're playing through the game playing through remake right now.
I mean, you can go ahead. I watched the abridged, so I probably already know.
You don't know. I can guarantee you that you
Hmm.
don't.
Fair enough.
Okay, so
It's funny. I mean,
so where to start? I'm not gonna. So the plot of like Rebirth. I remember like hearing some people say that they don't understand why Rebirth is there because it's a remake, and it is not a remake. Let me put it right there. All right, mild spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. They are not remakes. They are best hits of Final Fantasy. All right, just FYI, these games are not remakes. Not even, like a little bit. They are a little bit, but they're essentially the best hits. The plot, especially in Rebirth, way more in Rebirth than in Remake, because Remake is still lying to you, telling you that's a remake. Uh, the plot is different, not too different. Like the characters like go to all the same places and more or less do the same things, but the reasons are different. Um, so it not a remake. Let me get that out the way. So in case anyone who's like listening to this is like, why the fuck did they put a goddamn remake in Game of the Year? It's not a remake. It's not.
Hmm.
It straight up isn't. The gameplay's different. The plot is slightly different. Um, well, depending on who you ask, more than slightly. Um,
I'm pretty sure. My understanding was that the retrograde specifically, or rebirth specifically, was a pretty big departure.
um,
I also think that like we also should say is like I don't know if this is like a term that's like known, but I always explain that remake and remaster are two different things. It's like if you take a master is just a you like for instance
yeah, it's the
Spyro.
same
Spyro
game,
was a
but
remaster. It's the same game but just
But
updated
updated
graphics.
graphics.
But a remake is where they take the original like core of the game, like the plot or the gameplay or whatever, and then just like they essentially have a template and then just change it. whether that be upgrading the graphics or upgrading the gameplay or anything like that, is it's the same kind of like the same plot-ish, but an entirely different game.
Yeah, remakes are usually like built from like the ground up,
Yeah.
just doing the same, trying to do the same thing.
I can guarantee that this is neither. All
Mm.
right, this is a different game. Um, this is a different game. The plot is different enough that it would piss off a purist. Let me put it like that. If you call this a remake, um,
Like a zealous Final Fantasy VII lover.
yeah, like one of the things that like Final Fantasy VII remake does really poorly is Sephiroth because he's in it, and if you play the original game, you know that Sephiroth doesn't appear anywhere in Midgar. Like he just does, like he's there, but he doesn't appear on screen. Like he doesn't appear on screen at all in that section of the game. Just nowhere. He's nowhere. Well, he's there, but you don't see him. You don't see him for a while. In fact, you don't see him until the start of where Rebirth takes place in. That's when you fucking see Sephiroth and you see him like one shot a dragon. But let me actually talk about the game because we're talking about like all the conceptions around the game. All right. So Rebirth is massively different from Remake in most ways. So for starters, in Remake, Johnny, you might notice this already. You're in Midgar, which is like a singular town in the game, and you don't leave that town for all of Remake. In Rebirth, it is the middle section of the original Final Fantasy VII. So it's basically like the world tour. You're going to all the big stops with some exceptions. There are some that were excluded that I assume they're saving for the third game, so they have something for it.
So this doesn't end it. There's a third one coming.
There is a third one coming.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So is this like a 3-parter?
Yeah, it's
Or
a
is it
three.
just
Yeah,
like
it's trilogy.
okay, so the third one's gonna be the final like extension of the game.
Yeah. So Johnny, you watch the abridged series. So like the Rebirth ends around Aerith's death. Essentially, that's where like this game like ends around that area. All right.
Okay.
Spoilers for a nearly 30-year-old
Spoilers
game.
for a game that's like over
Mhm.
20 years old. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, but that's where this game like stops. Remake stops around. The remake covers like so little of the original game. It's kind of hilarious comparison to what Rebirth covers. Because remake you leave Midgar, and what you leave Midgar pretty fucking quick. I want to say like first 2, maybe 3 hours of the game.
Yeah, you don't spend a lot of time in Midgar in the original.
Yeah, and they stretch that shit out to a whole ass game. But Rebirth is like most of actually the main plot of Final Fantasy VII in terms of like plot events. I'm not gonna get into why the game is not a remake in terms of the plot, why it's not. But for the areas that you go to, they're all like masterfully recreated, and well, more than masterfully recreated. They added so much shit and recontextualized so many things going on in the original game that were like kind of like like minute details that didn't really matter, and they like super emphasized on them. Gameplay, because apparently I can never fucking get to that. Gameplay is very similar to what they did in remake, but they made some select changes. One, they changed most of the original cast moveset in some way. Barrett, I actually don't know what they changed. Barrett feels exactly the same. Cloud's operator mode, when he presses triangle and he has that counter that he has, the attacks on that are different. They're way fucking different. Cloud
They're
also
cool
has,
as hell too.
yeah, Cloud also has a new attack from a roll. He just has a range attack from a roll now. Like if he dodge rolls and then attacks, he now has a range attack.
I mean, we can agree that it's an entirely different game. I mean, you're going from turn-based to more, third-person type of hack and slash.
Yeah, but like
Um,
even the plot is different. I just want to get over like some gameplay things, uh, so I can actually like talk about the game. Like so, in remake, the game since it was limited to Midgar, there wasn't much of an overworld. All right, now in Rebirth, the world is huge. Honestly, probably too big. At which the main story by itself is probably somewhere like 50 something hours. All right, by itself. I'm not counting side shit. There's a lot of fucking story in this game. It's a big ass motherfucking game. And doing the side content like nearly doubles it. And the side content, there's a lot of mixed opinions about the side content. But the side content, for what it's worth, is way more unique than it deserves to be. So, for example, like a side quest in Rebirth will have a tendency to center around a specific party member. All right. So, for example, this will be the side quest where you have to help Barrett, like escort this dog to this lady's son, and this is a quest about being a parent or some shit. And then you have another side quest where you have to go on a date with Aerith or something like that. You have like a side quest with Yuffie where I don't know, you have to help her do some ninja bullshit. Uh, that's what a majority of the regular side quests are. Then there are the mini game side quest or the relic side quest, which require you to collect what is called a proto relic. And once you collect all the proto relics, you essentially unlock the game's secret boss. And the proto relic quests are some of the best content in the game by far because they have the most unique dialogue. Actually, no, I think the entire game's fully voiced, but it has the most budget behind it. And
so, uh, I just want to think like the game. Obviously, the gameplay is a lot different, and the story is a lot different. What is like the strong suit to this game? Is it the gameplay or is it the story?
yes,
Okay, so it's a combination of both, is what I'm hearing. All right, so I wouldn't be surprised if this game got Game of the Year.
it won't. Let me clear that up for you right now. It will not.
You don't think so?
No. One, because it's JRPG, and JRPGs don't normally win. That's
I
why.
don't know. We see Metaphor on there, and I have a lot of things to say about that game.
Look, despite how scathing of review we gave Wukong, Wukong's probably getting Game of the Year. And I hope to God not Elden Ring.
So
I don't think it's good
I
either.
just
Then
I,
I think
I
it's
want
been.
to I want to clarify because we should definitely get to Metaphor. What do you think that? Well, you already said it, but I don't know if Nate has an opinion on this. Where do you think that you'd be surprised if this game got Game of the Year, or if it deserved to be on the list at all?
Or Final Fantasy VII or
Yeah,
Metaphor?
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, you
Okay.
probably don't know much about it, so I mean, kind of like about it.
I know people really like that game.
That's
so
fair.
I get why it's nominated for Game of the Year because I think
Mm.
like I legitimately believe it's probably the best made game this year. But two things why it's not going to win. One, JRPGs don't normally win. Like that's just always been the case. They normally get shafted in these kind of events because there aren't that many JRPG fans in the mass legion of gamers. And two is this game did not sell well, or it didn't sell well it was supposed to sell.
Really?
Yeah, disappointed Square Enix apparently. Actually, and third point, it was a PS5 exclusive. So most of the people who are voting probably didn't play it. So those are three reasons why this game will not be Game of the Year. Even if I think it's probably the best made game this year, it's not the one I like the most. I actually do like Metaphor more, but if I were to just like look at them and compare them to each other, you're getting so much bang for your buck. You're getting so much more bang for your buck from Rebirth than Metaphor, which is saying something because Metaphor is fucking
Really?
huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Metaphor is not a
But-
small game.
Let's move on to Metaphor. Actually, I think that's a good closer.
Yeah.
I want to say something about Metaphor because I
All right.
am very, very close to the end. I haven't seen the end yet. But I'm gonna straight out say it. This deserves Game of the Year for me. This game not only like if you love Persona, because it's made by the people who made Persona, you're gonna love this game more, in my opinion. If you are a very aggressive player, this
And the
game,
ads for this game were so fucking hilarious.
yeah,
They're like, "Hey, did you know the
game
guys that
is-
made Persona made this game? Hey, man, did you know that
yeah. So
the velvet
Persona-
room in this game is the same color?" Oh,
Okay,
my bad. Oh,
Academia.
my bad. I mean Academia. Ugh.
Yeah.
the Academia. So I just want to say
the
that
totally
this
legally
game-
distinct Velvet Room.
this game it has beautiful. I want to say like the first thing that comes to mind, beautiful music. The music is amazing. I think that if this game is a contender for best music, and I pray to whatever game deity picks this is that it's going to win music. The music is phenomenal. Just standing still in a normal area it's just amazing. And the fact that your character has the music in his head, because it's canonical. Your character actually hears the music.
It's diegetic.
It's amazing. I think that the designs of the monsters are really good. I think the story is very, very well crafted. There's some like kind of iffy parts about it. That's just something you have to like play the game to like see. I don't really want to spoil it considering it's a relatively new game. It probably came out like a month ago. The game is very hard for a Persona game. Well, if you compare
Not for Shin Megami Tensei, but hard for Persona.
Mhm.
Yes. So this game is very hard. I'm playing through normal, and I almost got one-shotted multiple times. This game.
And Nate, you're playing on hard, right?
I'm playing on hard, yeah.
This game heavily punishes you for fucking up.
Yeah, no, if you get ambushed, you will get your shit wrecked.
Yeah, if you get ambushed, you might just die. Because there's mechanics in that game where the turns just keep going. If you
That's
get
sort of like
ambushed.
press turn system.
Maybe. I don't really know
Well,
what that is.
Yeah, that's like the name of the system.
It's
for the
like
little...
it's like a mitigated version of press turn. Like it's not as oppressive as press turn would be.
Yeah.
I guess it's like kind of the adapted version of it.
Like, I kind of want to like just like say before handing off to you guys that this game, if you love JRPGs, you have to play it. It is well worth the $60-$70, whatever the amount it is. Don't buy the fucking extra shit. You don't need that. That's all cosmetic. Just
Fucking
play the
Kumar.
game. It is amazing. I highly hope that this game is close contender or game of the year. It is my easy like 9.5 to 10 out of 10 game this year. Well, what do you think?
Well, I would
Isaac?
agree with you, but you're a fucking Elda, so
It's also
Fucking
another thing
never-
I want to say. One more thing. I
Never
wanna
just
say.
been called a slur before while walking down the street in a video
Yes,
game.
I want to
yeah,
say
hopefully
one
we don't
more
get
thing,
taken
though.
down for me calling him a fucking Elda.
This-
Yeah, that's
this
right.
game-
I use the hard E.
So I want to say one more thing, okay? This
Uh-huh.
I want to compare it to Dragon Age the Veilguard, because Dragon Age the Veilguard.
You mean that game you haven't played?
Yeah,
I watch gameplay. I'm a hardcore Dragon Age fan, Isaac.
Mhm.
I am so disappointed in Dragon Age the Veilguard. The commentary and just like you conversing with your party, it's like talking to a 5-year-old. You talk to people like they're children. It's like you have a problem, and you have to do a fucking group therapy session. It's like we're all a team, everybody and stuff, and they treat you like a children for all this crap.
You're gonna
Like,
have to
I
play
don't-
this game at some point. Not metaphor.
probably-
Dragon Age. You're gonna have to
I
play
probably
that.
have to
'Cause
play it, and I'm probably gonna.
You have a
hate
lot
it.
to say for someone
Yeah.
who hasn't played that game.
Yeah.
I've seen
Well,
enough
let's
gameplay.
bring it back to
But let's
Metaphor
bring it back to
because
Metaphor.
holy shit, Metaphor is a
This game,
fucking awesome
this
game.
I want to say for Metaphor one more thing is that this game doesn't treat you like a child. It speaks to you like an adult for issues that are in real world. It has a lot of um it
Yeah, no,
it
it
is
tackles
racism.
some
It
like
is
tough
racism.
subjects and
It,
it
it
does
has
it
tough
pretty well.
it does it pretty well because it doesn't sugarcoat them. There are many times in the game where you're just walking through, like especially the first area, the
I
capital,
fucking love
where you're
that
just
shit.
walking
You're
through,
just
and
walking.
then all of a
It is
sudden
so jarring.
you literally like are walking through it, and then some guy from the balcony, you're in a cutscene, it stops you from moving and says, "What is that disgusting elder doing there?" That's a
No,
real
it's
thing,
like crazy. Like
and it teaches you like how you can overcome this by showing that you are a person by because the only way for you to show that you're a person is to show that you can do things that other people can and can't do. Like you do quests and then you show people like, hey, I can help you get this amulet back. And it's like, really, you can in this monster infested area? It's like, yeah, I'll get it for you. It's like, well, I don't trust an elder to do it, but what do I have to lose if you die? And then you go and do it, kill all the monsters, beat the crap out of the boss because I'm over leveled as hell. I grinded. And then you go back to the dude and he's like, I can't believe you did that. And wow, I guess elders are like people.
Look,
holy
all
shit,
you
we defeated racism.
Yeah.
all you really need to do is like the most complex like character when it comes to like the topic of race in this game is like Kaizme. Like you haven't met him yet, Nate, but
I
holy
haven't. I'm still
shit,
pretty
He's
early
a
days
main.
in
Oh my god,
Metaphor.
his storyline is
he
amazing.
is he is so good.
He's amazing. I honestly, I think that you will love Heisman.
If there was a character of the year, it's him.
It's him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's him.
Goddamn.
He is probably one of the best well crafted stories for a Persona game. Basically, I like to call this game a Persona game, even though it's
It
not.
basically is a Persona game.
It basically
It's
is
a fantasy Persona game.
It's yeah, the Refantasio.
Like
I mean, I gotta say that the art in this game is fantastic. Like literally every element of like the menu, the UI, the places you walk around in, all the character art.
well, that's just
It is
Atlas.
all like it is
That's
a
just Atlas.
crazy sense of style that it just comes through really well.
That is just
Like
Atlas
those little
being
character
Atlas, bro.
those little like character portraits in like the bottom left of all the characters, like holy shit, that is some like gorgeous character art.
So I love the way this game looks, but I gotta be straight with you. I don't think it looks better than Persona 3.
I haven't played the remake.
I'm kind of in the middle on that.
Like, it's debatable. It's debatable. It's a debatable
It's
topic.
definitely debatable, and I want to say that if Persona 3 wasn't a thing, then Metaphor may not have gotten a lot of things that it did in terms of art style, because in the main menu in Persona 3 is fucking a beautiful.
That main menu, like,
It's
shocks
straight from
you.
Persona 3. From Persona 3 or Metaphor?
From Persona 3, that one shocks you. Like,
Yeah.
I think the
first
thing is
that you-
with Metaphor, by the time if you play Persona 5 and then Persona 3 Reload specifically, and then go to Metaphor, you're waiting for that fucking menu. You're like, bullshit, this pause screen's your actual menu. Show it. Where is it?
Yeah. Where is it?
I mean, I know
I mean,
for someone who didn't play Persona 3 before, like that menu was like crazy shock. Like it's like
it's beautiful.
it's gorgeous. Like the UI design is like super stylish in a way that I can't really think of many other studios who like do that same level of UI design.
I will say that Persona 3 had a better menu, mainly because I absolutely love the fact that you're like falling through water. But like when you if you for the people listening, if you haven't played Persona 3, it is your main character basically upside down floating through water, and every time you go to a different part of the menu, it changes your perception of where like he is, and it's fucking phenomenal. It's amazing.
It's such a great
I-
callback to the end of the game.
If the also another thing is that if you played Persona 3, like I said earlier in this podcast, the game gets kind of like the gameplay gets kind of repetitive, but the story, you have to play through the whole thing in order to love the story. Honestly, I think it's one of the best Atlas story games that they've ever created. And the funny part is they haven't even fucking changed it since the original.
They Persona 3 is like one of the all-time greats, and I will never hesitate to call it one of the greatest games I've ever played. But fuck, I never want to touch that game again. Holy
I
shit.
never wanted to. Once you do one playthrough, that's it. You're done.
Is it like a real grind fest?
Yeah, oh my god, dude. Let me tell you about fucking Tartarus, all right? There's this big-ass tower called Tartarus, all right? The main goal of the entire fucking game is to climb this motherfucking tower, all right? Guess how many floors are on this tower, all right? Just name a number.
300.
Actually, no, that's a bit too much. But
Okay.
He's close. He's close.
You're close. You're actually close. You're exaggerating on purpose, and you're actually pretty close.
Isn't it like 250 or something?
It's 256 floors.
I know it was like
Damn.
250 or 255, but that was close enough. But you know that meme of the guy, I forgot his name, where he's like pushing a boulder up a hill, and it's like he has to keep doing it. Like that's kind of like what Tartarus is, except while you're pushing the boulder, you're kind of getting attacked from like a bunch of like shadows. Also, the game forces you to go to Tartarus sometimes, and I hate that so much. I was just willing to let people die.
Actually, do you have to?
You have to save them or else they die.
Well, no, I get that, but I can't remember if you have to go to Tartarus. Well, you have to make it to the top of Tartarus to beat the game. That part you do, but
remember when those people get trapped or the cat gets trapped or something?
Yeah. Otherwise, they don't die. They get apathy syndrome, I believe. But I can't remember in P3 if there was. Let's just say you didn't give a fuck about those people, and you're like, fuck them. You just oh, you know what? No, wait, because there are social links you can't finish if you don't rescue them. And I don't know if they fuck up your social links for the whole game. By the way, like I know we're getting diverted to Persona 3, but fuck, dude. Look, I like the social links in Metaphor, but goddamn, those Persona 3 social links, they're fucking wild.
They're fucking losers.
Losers.
They're fucking losers. You're not even talking to them half the time. 90% of the conversation is you talking. Them talking to you.
All right, I want you. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. No, this is what a Persona 3 social link is like, Nate. All right, I want you to say. Imagine you're at the mall, and you're going to Wendy's. All right, you're going to Wendy's. You're gonna get yourself like a Baconator from Wendy's. All right, and in the line to Wendy's, you meet the biggest incel loser you could fucking imagine, who just keeps mouthing off profanities. He's being an asshole to the girl, like at the register.
He ate your fucking Baconator.
Yeah, no, he took your fucking Baconator, and you go up and like, hey, bro, what the fuck? You took my Baconator. And it's like, oh shit, my bad. I thought it was mine, when he clearly ordered like fries and some chicken nuggets. And he just has your Baconator in his mouth.
More than that.
Yeah, and as you're like, you know what? It's whatever. It's fine. Fine. Whatever. I'll just go. It was like, oh, no, sorry about that, man. My name is Joe Schmo. It's like, okay, Joe, whatever. Fuck you. I'm out. And then you hear the words, I am thou. Thou art I.
God.
Thou hast awakened a new bond.
Oh, God.
God damn it.
And you just say to yourself,
anyone but him.
And then you find out that he's in a giant scheme about the end of the world that turned kind of right. It was kind
no,
of
he just gets worse. Right. He just keeps getting worse. You're like, oh, okay. Well, he's like kind of an incel loser, but like at least he's not like a fucking criminal or something. And then
he's a criminal.
And then you find out he's like selling drugs on the side. And you're like, what? Oh, no, bro, it's just weed. And I'm like, okay, that could be worse, I guess. And then it just keeps getting worse. And then you find like some like questionable pictures, and you're
God,
on like not even like in a file, like on his desktop. And you're like, what the fuck? Are these women legal? No, it's from the Barely 18 website, bro. they turned 18 like a day after getting this picture taken. It's fine, and, and somehow you're at rank 6 out of 10 with this motherfucker. You're like, what? What the fuck? I have to
Another.
keep hanging out with
Prison,
you.
jail.
So
I'm calling the police right
I
now.
want to say one more thing. I don't know if this was intentionally left out or they had to cut it because of like time. Um, when you're playing Persona, you are not an adult. You are a high schooler.
Mhm.
In Metaphor, you are an adult, and for some
Mhm.
reason, you cannot romance anybody in Metaphor as an adult, but you can romance people in Persona.
They
So
finally
let that
made a
sink
game
in.
with adults as party members, and now you can't romance anyone. What
Let
did they
that
mean by
sink in.
that? What did they mean by
What
that?
do they mean by that? But let's I wanna hear like your guys' opinion a little bit more about Metaphor because I think that let's talk more about let's talk
We have
let's talk
gotten
about
so off
let's talk
tracked
about the
off.
music and
The
how
music is
amazing
fantastic.
the music is beautiful.
The battle theme goes fucking harder
That
than
monk,
anything else
that
has
monk,
gone this entire year.
that monk, whatever they
That
paid
monk.
him,
It
they
wasn't
need to
enough.
pay him more. They need to,
It wasn't enough. I don't care what it
if
was.
the monk didn't get paid and said that he didn't want anything or just like some food or whatever, I want them to go there and personally thank them every single day and then give them whatever they want. Like money, food, doesn't fucking matter.
He
Like
should just do a
they deserve
video
all the
of
praise.
him like doing the chants he did for the game. He doesn't even need to like voice them. Just like mouth
Mhm.
them off and just throw gang signs.
He was
Just throw gang
phenomenal.
signs. That's all he needs to do.
He was phenomenal. I loved that music. I loved the academia music. The like you're like in this like you're in the velvet room and you're just kind of just like doing your thing, like leveling up archetypes and all that stuff, which are basically personas, but better kind of. And you're like, huh, this music's kind of good. And then you hear the fucking choir, and you're like, holy shit, this shit is slap. This shit's slapping me hard. And you have that. You have the battle theme. You have even like the what was it like the traversing through the waste music. The first like real music that you hear is fucking phenomenal. I mean, I never had a nostalgia for a game uh that I just played when I listened to the music before, and it's so fucking weird. Like you listen to the music while not playing the game, you're like, damn, that's some good shit.
Let's actually talk about the archetype system a little bit.
Okay.
Because that's like the main thing that separates these games. Outside of the time frame.
Yeah.
So like straight up, so like the archetype system. Okay, actually, so I feel like I like the demon summon a bit better than the archetypes because I think you can experiment more.
Demon Summon?
Yeah, that's like
Or
what
the
they had in like
demon fusion. Yeah,
that's what
Eh,
they had in like Shin Megami.
Shin Megami Tensei that is then
Mhm.
passed on
I
to
never played Shin
Persona.
Megami.
Mhm.
It's virtually the same system, except Persona's a little
Pretty
bit
damn
easier
close.
and way easier to exploit.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think I prefer the demon fusion over the archetypes because I like seeing new personas or demons. I prefer that way more than like, oh, you reached this rank, you now can use this archetype, which is probably a better system for social links. It's probably like a way better system than like even the confidant system in 5 where you get like substantial upgrades. Actually, it just is a confidant system from 5 because you get a lot of fucking random ass perks when you upgrade some of these bonds. Uh
I think it kind of fits nicely with the social links a bit better
I
because
agree.
like it's more directly correlated.
Like also one of the things that becomes innately obvious is because since you can make anyone use an archetype, you can. It becomes pretty weird as to why you would want more than 4 party members. Because I think there's like 6 or 7 party members in this game, and
There's one for each tribe, and one of them is in your party. He's your Uber driver.
yeah, and you start to wonder
So then make
why, because
8.
you can say again.
So that'd be like 8 party members and a driver.
Yeah, something like
Okay.
that. So you, so like it becomes pretty weird as to why you would ever need more than 4 party members. Like you're not. I don't think you're past Grand Trad, right, Nate? You're not past Grand Trad.
No, no, I'm still in that dungeon.
Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
you're like at
I'm
the
real
very
early days.
beginning.
I'm real early days. Yeah.
so you can have
I've
four
did
party
basically just
members.
only done like the first 2 dungeons. I'm in like the first like major one after getting Hulkenberg.
Yeah. You can't have 4 party members. It's a while before you have 4 party members. So
Yeah, you have to get like through like what, like halfway through the game. Not even halfway, like a third of the game. And the game is massive, so a third of the game is like what, like 40, like 30, 40 hours?
by the way, do you guys hear that?
No.
Hear what?
Okay, perfect. All right, but yeah, it's like a good way through the game, and then like at that point, or after you get 4 party members, you'll then get like 5 and 6 and 7. I want to say. Um, One of the key things that's important to realize is that you cannot swap archetypes mid battle. This is very different from like the demon fusions or the persona fusions in 5. All right. This means that you you have to use like the informant system, or I say in system, like the informants in the game, because if you don't know what the fuck you're heading into, you can just get absolutely blown the fuck up for no goddamn reason. And I,
They do mitigate that if you don't do it or forget to do it, because they put a save point right before the boss, which I like a lot.
uh,
They they yeah, go ahead, keep going.
yeah, so like if you don't do that, like you're gonna have a rough time. Like I don't know how the fuck you beat this game without ever like using the informants. Like you
You're oh, there you go. Your mic cut out there for a second.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck you beat this game without ever using the informants. At least for the side quests, because that's where you're gonna get most of your power um, from doing the side quests and the exploits. You can exploit the hell out of this game. We have to be honest about that. You can exploit the fuck out of this game.
I spent probably a few hours just grinding out, and I was about like 10 levels of an area that I shouldn't have been. Uh, and uh, to people who haven't played Metaphor but have played Persona, when you run up to a shadow in Persona, you have to fight it, regardless if it runs away from you because you're too high of a level. You have to fight it in the overworld when you hit it. In Metaphor, if you are 3 levels over an enemy, you can just walk up and kill it and then keep going. You don't have to like go into a scenario where you have to like go into like the actual fight animations and everything. It's just whack them once or twice, and then they die, and you get the XP and everything in the overworld. Um, and they have a thing where there's these little crystals, like giant crystals, that spawn enemies repeatedly. And if you are higher level and there's 2 of them, you can just farm as much as you want. And it's great. It's
And
fucking great.
that's also not including classes like the merchant, and you didn't even mention the wizard. You didn't mention the mage at all.
I'm trying to keep it a little bit spoiler free. I mean, I would say like for the archetypes, mage you're gonna get like very soon, like in your
Mage is
playthrough.
like
Yeah,
you
I
get
have
mage
mage
like
where I
pretty much
am.
like immediately
Yeah.
after the first one.
Yeah,
After
so
like the
mage,
first like boss,
yeah, so mage
second-ish boss.
is an AoE attack in the overworld. And what it does is every time that you kill an enemy in the overworld, you get 1 MP. And MP is the same system as Persona. I believe they still use MP.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah, it's
MP?
MP.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Mhm.
So in Persona they use MP as well. And I played all the Personas
Right.
except for 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, the ones
Uh,
that don't matter. Yeah.
I played 5 and 4. I absolutely I love 4. Um, man, that's those soda machines were always empty because MP and Persona is like crack. You can never have enough of it. And in metaphor, MP they know that MP is very valuable because a lot of the abilities cost a lot of MP. Like I mean like 10-15% each ability. And they made it to where mage, whenever they kill somebody, they get 1 MP back, depending on how many you kill. So if you're in the overworld and you're killing a bunch of them, if you kill like 10 enemies, you get 10 MP back, and they're continuously responding every second. So you just have a limited MP and XP. And Merchant is the same way. Merchant doesn't do MP; he does money instead. It says that you have a chance to get extra money, but I think that they added an extra 0 to whatever fucking percentage they did. So maybe they put 20%, and it's actually 200%. So by like halfway through the game, I had 1 million fucking gold or whatever currency they use. I bought
Yeah,
whatever
that
the fuck I
MP is
wanted.
like really valuable because I don't know what your guys' experience was like, but trying to do fights on hard without using like my abilities is hard as fuck.
We
Like
told you the game was
you
hard before you
you
bought it
just
to hard.
I mean, it's fine if I have my abilities, but if I'm out of MP, like forget it. Like my guys hit for fucking P damage. Like I doing fights on that difficulty will just get me mopped up real quick if I don't have my spells.
What's evil about that game is that you haven't unlocked certain archetypes in the beginning, and a lot of those enemies are resistant to every single archetype that you have in your arsenal. At least from what I found.
I haven't encountered that just yet, but
Just
I'll
wait.
let you know when I do.
Just
I
wait.
haven't been
You're gonna
taking
get there.
advantage
You're probably thinking of the
I haven't been
discount
taking advantage
overdrive.
of like the mage thing getting me MP because I didn't know that was a feature, honestly. I haven't been taking advantage of that at all.
It's
Yeah,
only for you.
I need to
no,
put it on like my main guy.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
put it on your main guy, but it'll give
Mhm.
all your party members 1 MP per enemy defeat.
Damn, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really good. So whenever you see those big crystals that spawn enemies, just start farming.
In
Just start
fact,
farming.
if you can't find those, one thing I did midway through the game is that when you go through like a dungeon and you level up through a dungeon, you'll
Mhm.
probably hit the halfway point and you notice that the enemies kind of go up a couple levels halfway through the dungeon. Meaning,
Gotcha.
if you manage to get 3 levels above the enemies at the beginning of the dungeon, you can just run back to the beginning and force them to respawn like over and over and over until you have MP. It might not be efficient, but it's an
But
option.
it takes good use of like that day system. Like you don't have to go to the next day to get more MP like that, do you?
By the way, speaking of
No,
the day
you can
system,
just continuously
I love what
you
they
can
do with this.
continuously keep farming.
Yeah, I love what they do
And
with
so,
the day system in this game, though.
I
'Cause
don't. I think that if they make another metaphor game, they honestly, I don't see them not making another metaphor game. I haven't finished the game yet, so we'll see. They probably will either like keep the system, but it won't be as good, or they'll just make a system to where you don't need to do it anymore. That's what
for
I
the
predict
days, or
for the grinding. For
uh,
and like because like the fact that you can just keep killing enemies and then getting a fuck ton of XP from the enemies that respawn. Like there's just one point in the game, I think it's about like halfway ish through, maybe a little more, where it was like the two crystals were like perfectly position to where I could just stand still in the middle and just start spamming my attacks. And I would just do that while watching YouTube and just spamming X on my controller. And like for the next like 30, 45 minutes, I come back and I'm like 5, 8 levels above everybody else.
That's wow, you really just exploded the hell out of that, huh?
Of course I did.
legitimately, it's actually hard for the game to catch back up with you too. It's actually very hard for the
Interesting.
game to catch back up with you once you get a few levels ahead of it.
Yeah. Like you'll definitely feel a difference between like you being at level or like 5 levels above because levels matter a lot in this game. But I just want to like say, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this game deserves Game of the Year? I know Nate hasn't played a lot of it yet, but I know that you finished it, Isaac, and I'm almost there. And I think this game deserves Game of the Year.
Do you want to go first, Isaac, or should I go?
You go first.
I'm pretty high on this game. I'm pretty early on it, but like between the character art and the soundtrack and what I've seen of the story so far, would not be like mad whatsoever if I saw it win Game of the Year. It's probably what I want to see win Game of the Year, unless yeah, I think I probably want to see Metaphor win, unless I want to see Balatro win just to annoy Johnny specifically.
Fuck you.
How
Fuck you.
about you, Isaac?
Um,
Because I'm pretty sure you said you liked Final Fantasy more than Metaphor
no, I think
at
Final
some point.
Fantasy, very
Is
specifically,
better.
I think Final Fantasy is better, but I like Metaphor more.
Oh, I see.
Because like my all my points about Final Fantasy VII still stand. I think it's way more bang for your buck than Metaphor, which again is saying fucking a lot. Um, I so like I'm like a big fan of JRPGs. I think I played all the big ones that came out this year, like
Like,
Yakuza 8 or Like a Dragon 8
mhm.
now, Persona 3, Final Fantasy 7, obviously, Metaphor. There's probably like one more I'm fucking forgetting, but I can't remember at the moment. Uh, and like Metaphor is excellent. Like it's an excellent game. It's an excellent game, and I totally believe it deserves Game of the Year. Um, is it my Game of the Year? Hilariously, no. Not because I think it's bad or anything. It's just because
It is kind of a JRPG, and that is kind of a tough sell for these kind of awards.
I feel like more people play Black Myth Wukong before Metaphor.
Oh,
yeah,
for
Just
sure.
because of the nature that it's a JRPG.
For sure.
Even though
legit.
I think that like a lot of JRPGs deserve more love from like people.
Straight
They
up,
just don't want to give it a
I'm
shot.
gonna say the cringiest thing. Probably my game of the year was actually Sonic X Shadow Generations.
You can shut the fuck up right now. You can shut the actual fuck up right
No,
now.
dude,
Okay.
Sonic fans needed a win. They needed a win.
They needed to win, but not Game of the Year win.
They
Yeah,
needed to
no,
win.
that's fair. That's just mine.
Okay,
That's just
no
mine.
one's nominating it for Game of the Year, but it's his personal Game of the Year. That's
Look,
different.
Yeah.
I would, if it makes you feel better, I think I will give Shadow Generations Game of the Year before Balatro.
You're just a hater, honestly. You're
It's a
just a
fucking
hater.
card game.
You're a
There's
hater. You are such
there-
a hater. It's
there's-
crazy.
There's more love. There's more love in Astrobot than there is in Balatro.
Okay.
I definitely know. a lot of
I
people
don't know about
fucking
that.
love
I've heard
Balatro.
some things about Astrobot, but I would say of these five, this is my game of the year. If I think Wukong is probably going to win, I will be annoyed if Elden Ring wins. If Final Fantasy VII ain't winning. If Balatro wins, they'll actually probably make me just play the game straight up.
That would be really funny. I don't
No.
think it's gonna
I'll play
happen.
Marvel
I think
Rivals before that. I'll
I think
Marvel.
You did play Marvel Rivals.
you did,
No, I'm voting for
brother.
it for Game of the Year. I don't. I'll fucking hack into the system. I'll hack into the mainframe and just change all of them to Marvel Rivals before that.
That game is great, by the
You're
way.
gonna hack. It is quite good. It's quite fun.
I love Iron Fist so much.
Yeah. I think Balatro is probably like the least likely to win of the six.
I
Just
think
because, like, I think it's like the sort of like token indie nomination,
that
and like those games tend to not win.
from left to right, I think that Astrobot and Balatro are definitely not going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Black Myth Wukong won just for the sole fact that it sold a fuck ton of copies.
It is super popular, but I don't think it's gonna win. I don't think Black
I-
Myth is gonna win.
Well, let me get my point out is
Mhm.
I think that Elden Ring, if it wins, I haven't played it. I don't think it deserves to be.
It's more
in
Elden
here.
Ring. You've played Elden Ring.
I know. I'm just saying, like I've never
But
played.
it's
so I don't
so
know.
good.
I'm saying that Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth Tree doesn't. I don't think it should get Game of the Year.
Yeah, I
Because
kind of
it's
agree.
DSE,
I agree
Final
with you.
Fantasy Rebirth. Fuck Sony, so no, I don't think it should get Game of the Year.
It's
Metaphor
not even a
Refund
Sony game. I'm fucking. with you.
It's Square
Fuck
Enix.
Sony.
Squeenix.
Metaphor Refantasio. Yeah, Game of the Year. I hope it gets Game of the Year.
I
don't think it'll get-
genuinely think
I think Black Myth. My list is Metaphor should get it, but I know Black Myth Wukong is gonna get it.
I don't agree. I don't think Black Myth is gonna win. Maybe this will age like milk, but I think it's probably going to be like FF7, Metaphor, or Astrobot.
I think Wukong is almost guaranteed to win. I'll be straight with you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it did that well, and I think it was that big.
It was fucking massive. It is a massive game.
But let's close it off here. And
Yeah.
what do you
We have
think?
not even
What
touched the other
what does the
categories.
audience think on what they think the game of the year is? And I'm just gonna say right now, you better say Metaphor Refantasio. And if you haven't played it already, go play it right now. What are you doing? Go.
I mean,
go.
as far as like the player choice awards go, I think those are pretty much guaranteed to go to Black Myth, just because Black Myth is like by far the most popular game in this list. Unless like the Gooners really come out for like Zenless Zone Zero or something.
That would be wild. That would be wild.
Wouldn't be the first time it happened. Like, remember Genshin beat out Elden Ring?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
wasn't for Game of the Year though.
That was
like
the
for...
player's choice. Player's choice of the year.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Jane Doe's fat ass is just too strong. It's
Dude, the Gooners are too powerful.
Look, you haven't seen Jane Doe though.
We're pretty.
You haven't seen Bernice
timer right now. Like, we're well over the hour mark.
We managed to yap for over an hour about just the Game of the Year category. Holy smokes!
Like I was trying to do earlier, but you motherfuckers want to keep talking.
We got a lot to say, mofo.
Yeah,
it is a lot. It is a lot for 1 hour.
I have a lot of opinions.
The wrong opinions, but what does the audience think? I'm generally curious. If there's people listening to this, if not, we're new. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Just kind of give us some opinions if you.
Yeah, we're in it for the long haul. Well, except Nate, he's like kind of here.
Yeah, he's kind of here. He's more like a guest appearance, so we'll see.
He just likes us.
Better enjoy me while I'm here.
Yeah. And then he'll tell us to go fuck ourselves while we're not looking. All right.
Well, let's just let's close it off here. Yeah, seriously, guys, like if anybody's listening, give us some opinions, give us some
feedback.
Yeah, feedback. Like give us something if people are listening, and we really appreciate it. I also want to say that we are gonna get art for our banner. We're just using shitty AI art. I hate AI art, by the way. We are getting an artist to do a logo,
and we're gonna have that shit replaced in a week. You know we are.
Yeah, we're gonna have that shit replaced as soon as possible. Just to let you guys know.
All right.
I hate AI art, but thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Nate, for being on.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you for having me. I appreciated being here.
For any listeners out there, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed whatever homework or food you were cooking while you were listening to us. Thank you, and have a good night, y'all. Bye-bye.